O2 Concepts 11. The grid. If you turn your view, click on your view menu and show your grid, by default this is what you get. There are a number of ways that you can manipulate the grid. Come into Edit, Preferences. First I'm going to come in here to Units, and if we change this general one here to inches and say OK, then we can come into Guides and Grids. Actually, we can access them all from here, just so you know. Right now I'm going to change these subdivisions to 4, and at this point I've made basically a 1/4 inch grid on that paper. Now if I put the snap to grid on, then when I go to draw a rectangle, it will snap, you can see, to the corner of each of those squares. So we can put some squares of the same size very accurately, very quickly in, if that's what we were making. One thing to remember is when you don't need your grid, then come into View and hide it. But don't forget to turn your snap to grid off. If you forget that, see the little jumpy movements that makes. A lot of people forget to turn it off. When you don't need it, come back here, click on snap to grid to get rid of the check mark. Number 13, use the direct selection tool to manipulate anchor points. This is the direct selection tool here. If I click that, I'm going to deselect by clicking off here, marquee select, and you can see that I get one solid anchor point showing. I could delete this at this point, and if I fill it, that's what I'm going to end with. Click off, click onto the path. You can see I have hollow anchor points right now. Nothing is selected at this point, but I could click on here to select it and do some manipulation with it. If I turn on my smart guides, don't forget that it will actually show me when I'm on an anchor point versus the path. Okay, so that's direct selection tool, grid tool. We have that grid tool that you can turn on, that's a visual guide and allows you to snap to it, but there's also another tool here. I'll just tear this off. We have this grid tool. So if I click that icon and come over to my artboard, click, hold, and drag out. Now if I press on the up arrow key, I will get more rows. Press the down arrow key, I will get less rows. Press the right arrow key, I get more columns. Press the left arrow key, I get less columns. When I get what I want, I can release. The polar grid works the same way. I can come to this tool here, polar grid, drag out. Before I release, I can use the up arrow key to put in those concentric circles. It's difficult to have such a fast keystroke to get just one. And I can use the right one, that will add more radial dividers. The left arrow key takes them away. The down takes the concentric away, and up puts the concentric in. Now you can also go to the polar grid here and just click once on the page. That will bring up an option box. So this way you can be very specific. I want 3 concentric dividers, and I want, let's just leave it at 3 and say OK. And that's what we get. 1, 2, 3 concentric circles, not including the outside one, and 3 radial 1, 2, 3 dividers. Same thing with the rectangular grid. Click it, click on the page, say I want exactly 3 and 5. Just key them in using your keyboard and say OK, and that's what I got. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What you need to know is you always get one more. Let's try that again. Click here. 3 horizontal, 1, 2, 3. So it's in the middle, they're counting. And 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dividers. Okay, and that's what you get. Okay, select items to become a part of a group. So right now, this is 1 unit. Actually, if I right click here, I can ungroup this. And if I do that, I still have a group. Let me, yes, this outer ring comes off and all these can be taken apart. So let's say I wanted to put them back together, and I'm doing this only roughly. I'll make a more simple one here. I have this together here and I want it to be a group. I can marquee select it. I can right click and I can group. Now if I go to move it, it comes together as a group. I can also do that using this object menu, group and ungroup, and here's the keyboard shortcuts. If I want to select a bunch of objects, let's just put on some quick rectangles here. I can use my Shift key to select a group of them. Now, if I decide that I don't need this one in after all, if I hold the Shift and click something that's already selected, it will become unselected. Click it again, it's now selected. It just toggles between being selected, not being selected. And that is O2 Concepts from 11 to 20.